What's going on, YouTube? This is Boxingwave. Please subscribe to the channel. All right, the big fight between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney is tomorrow night. It's gonna be on dazn pay-per-view. Okay, and I haven't done an official breakdown. I guess I will break it down in this video, but I've done several videos is basically telling me it's not a fight that I really support. I understand why it's happening, but I don't really consider it a real fight. Why? Because I think there are other fighters at 140 and 135 that's actually earned their shot at a title. And I understand why it's happening. Ryan Garcia is popular. He has a name. He has a lot of Instagram followers. So I get it. I understand why Devin wants to fight. He wants to be able to show the world that he can do pay-per-view numbers. And being that Ryan was involved in one of the most highest grossing pay-per-view fights in recent years against Tank Davis, this is why Ryan is his opponent. Okay, Ryan doesn't hold a title, and he's now eliminated himself from winning a title, even if he is to win this fight now, because according to reports today, the official weigh-in, which was behind closed doors, he came in over 3 pounds overweight. So this fight was supposed to be at the 140-pound weight limit for the WBC title. Now it's not on the line here. So even if Devin Haney is to lose, he retains his title, which to Devin and to most fighters, the most important part is about winning, not just the title. It's about winning. All right, and we're gonna get into all of that. But what happens here is we still are about an hour away from the actual weigh-in event, not the actual weigh-in weight, but the weigh-in event. All right, and the weigh-in event is always the weight that was scaled earlier that day. I don't know if that's always like that, but for the bigger fights, for the main events, or whenever we hear that someone is overweight, we normally hear about it earlier in the day, and we'll hear that same weight announced at the actual weigh-in. And then at that point, they'll decide whether or not they're going to try to work the weight, cut the weight down, and then re-weight their weigh in themselves or whatever. But Ryan missed weight. Devin Haney has confirmed that, said that he agreed. Ryan already agreed to pay the $500K for each pound overweight, which is added up to $1.5 million. Golden Boy already released a statement saying that they're going to honor Devin Haney's agreement that they made at the press conference yesterday. So Ryan is not going to be looking to cut weight. Now, if you follow me on Twitter earlier in the week, I tweeted that Ryan Garcia was going to miss weight. Okay, I had saw the little push from Haney at the Empire State Building when they were just doing that promo. Ryan came there shirtless. All right, and I noticed this prior to that, but when he showed up to New York looking like a welterweight, I said to myself, oh, okay, he has no intentions on making weight, and that happens sometimes. Some fighters, they don't want to drain themselves. They just want to win. They don't care for the title. Ryan has never cared for the title. I've said this before because he was in position to fight for a title before. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Ryan is, in some ways, he's like Tank in some ways, even though Tank has had a much better career. Ryan just want to have the big fights. Whatever is going to make him more of a star, that's the most important to him. I don't think he's looking to challenge the best. I think he's willing, and maybe even Golden Boy, I think they're willing to put themselves in position to earn the most money in a fight, in a pay-per-view fight like this. And I think Devin Haney was that guy at this point. You know, they already lost to Tank, and Ryan has moved up. So they're looking for the next guy, the next name. And being that, you know, Devin Haney has the wins over George Kambosos, Lomachenko, and recently Regis Prograis, they probably felt at 140 that that was their best option in generating the most amount of pay-per-view buys. You know, that's the way I look at it. Some of you may disagree, but that's the way I look on why Devin Haney is his opponent. Okay? Because there's not really anybody else out there. You know, and yeah, you could say that's TL, but I mean, I'm talking about proven, you know, pay-per-view. Even though Haney didn't do extremely well on previous pay-per-views, he's done them, you know, and his name is linked with Shakur. His name is linked with Tank. His name is linked with Ryan. So it's a fight that they saw that they can promote well and make the money from it. All this stuff about championships, that's not the priority here, you know. And when it came to Ryan, seeing him at New York looking solid and full, he's in good shape, but he's full. I realized that, okay, he's not trying to cut weight here. He is just trying to win. All right. So, and I said this back in Oscar Duarte fight. I said, how serious is Ryan trying to take the junior welterweight division if he's already fighting at catch weights above 140? His last fight, he was 143. All right, that's what he weighed in at the last fight. In this fight, he's 143 again. He's over 143. So it just goes to show that when it comes to titles, Ryan can care less. He doesn't even have a shot to win a title here anymore. He cares about pay-per-view buys. You know, I said that then. And I said it earlier this week. Devin Haney has looked, I think, outside of the Kambosos rematch, I believe, I think this is the second time I've seen him look drained. Now, he's not as drained as that fight because his eyes were basically sunken in that fight. His cheekbones, everything was showing. He looked very drained in that fight. But he does look drained this week, too. You know, I can see it in his body. I can see it in his face. You know, everybody's talking about it. You know, he's wearing the shades and stuff. He looks drained. All right, that's because he's trying to make weight. He looked drained against Kambosos. He looked like a skeleton against Kambosos before the fight. But on the day of the fight, he looked fine. He flew in pretty nice, and he won the fight without having too many issues. You know, we all saw that fight. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. When it comes to the people that think that there's going to be a stoppage in this fight, I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm not expecting a stoppage from Devin Haney. You know, it could happen. I mean, Ryan's been stopped before. He's been dropped before. He's been hurt before. We've seen it in multiple fights. Okay. But Ryan is the biggest he's ever weighed in for a fight here. Okay. He's in great shape. I'm not surprised that he's in great shape. He just wasn't going to risk draining himself because he's already told us part of the reason why he lost to Tank is because he was drained and because he was injured. You know, and I said, even back then, why would you agree to fight at 136 when you haven't even fought below 140 since Luke Campbell? Talago was at 140. Fortuna was at 140. Right? And go down and fight Tank at a catch weight of 136. He was going to be drained for that fight. I mean, I thought he was going to lose anyway. But he even put himself at more of a disadvantage in that fight. So he figures, you know what? I'm not going to do the same. I'm going to give up the $1.5 million to have a better chance of winning this fight. You know, it kind of reminds me of, was it Danny Jacobs against Triple G? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that fight was a very close fight. You know, regardless of how people may feel about it now, that was a very close fight. A fight that could have gone either way in my eyes. And Danny did not make weight for the fight, or I think he didn't. Maybe the Canelo fight was a rehydration clause. I might be confusing the two. But I remember Danny coming in big against Triple G. And I think that helped his punch resistance in that fight. You know, and it was close. He almost won that fight. You know, and I think that's what's happening here. You know, and that's probably been part of the plan. It's all been mind games. It's all been chess. You know, it's not. You guys been here for a while. I've always been more of a technical guy in the ring. I don't go too much into the what's going on outside of the ring type of stuff when it comes to predicting a fight. You know, even if I'm wrong, I try to give you a fair analysis with every fight on who I think is going to win based on their actual skills and give you a technical breakdown. But there's so much happening outside of the ring for this fight, which makes it hard to call. Because not only do you have the weight factor, you have a drained Devin Haney, and then you have an overweight Ryan Garcia, who's not drained at all. He looks fine. That could be a factor. Then you got to think of Ryan. Is he really crazy? Is he having real mental issues? Yeah, I think so. I think part of it is him being crazy. And I think a part of it is just him promoting a fight and making people believe that he's not mentally stable enough to win a fight against Devin Haney. You get what I'm saying? It's a little bit of both. I don't think he's all the way well. You know, I haven't thought that since he took his mental health break, coming off of his best performance against Luke Campbell. I think that was a pretty bad thing to do, but if you needed a break, you need a break. It is what it is. But I always question his mental strength, and I also question it in the ring. I also question it with his team. He seems to not be able to keep relationships going good for a while, you know, for a while. It seems like he keeps changing trainers, and he's having bad fallouts with all of them. He's had bad fallouts with his promoters. Again, this is not a guy that seems to be stable. So that could be an effect on the fight. The reason why I think it's an effect on the fight is because of how anxious he is to get a knockout. He doesn't have any patience in the ring. And this is where I go more into the actual fight. I think Ryan's biggest disadvantage, and you know, we could also bring up the defensive flaws or foot positioning and you know, all of these other flaws he may have in the ring, right? We can all bring that up and talk about all those things, which I will. But the biggest flaw to me is him just not being patient and overcommitting to the knockout, overcommitting to the left hook. You know, even in the Ting fight, you know, and some may say that it's because, you know, he was injured or because he was drained and he wanted to hurry up and get it over with. You know, he didn't want to go round and around. The longer the fight went, you know, I've heard all those things, and those are some good points. But at the end of the day, throughout his career, he's shown to be a guy that leaves himself in bad spots because he's overcommitting to the knockout. You know, I think it's a little bit in the Oscar Duarte fight, which I think was a fight that he was trying to figure things out. This is why he made different adjustments. You know, there was times in the fight where he was coming straight forward and being aggressive like we normally see him. There was times in this fight where he was using the ring and using a lot of lateral movement, even maybe even running at times. And there was times in the fights where he was doing this shoulder roll thing that wasn't really working out too well for him. So I think in that fight, because of the level of opposition there, he was just trying to figure things out, test things out. You know, he had just got with Derek James. But going back to my point, I think his biggest weakness is, even with the technical flaws he may have, especially compared to Devin, he's still talented. He's still quick. He's powerful. You know, I mean, he has a good jab. I wish he used it a little bit more. You know, I mean, he's going to beat contenders. I don't know if he's championship level, but I believe that he could be. I mean, if Rolly Romero can be a champion, you know, I mean, Ryan could be one, you know. But I think him just being anxious and leaving himself open to get countered, you know, I don't think he's that good when he's throwing. He's not as good as a Devin Haney when it comes to watching out with what's getting thrown back at him, because he's too offensive minded to be when I watch a fight. You know, it's like he has tickets to a show that he has to go to after a fight. You know, he has somewhere he has to be after the fight. He fights like he's rushing. And I think that's his biggest flaw. And I don't know if that's something he can control. I don't know if that's something that a coach can straighten out. You know, that might be a here thing. On top of all the craziness and the antics and stuff like that. You know, I think Ryan, what I will say in the strength of going into this fight with Devin Haney, outside of him having a weight advantage now and not being drained, him having a power and stuff like that, I think one advantage with his hook, you know, like I said, he overcommits to it sometimes. But one thing with Devin, and, you know, I was watching the Jorge Linares fight. You know, I was like, I was doing my film study more with the Linares fight. I told you guys this last week. I was watching some of the Linares fight, and I was watching some of the Kambosos fight too, right? Because they're a little bit more similar than the Southpaws, Prograis, Lomachenko. They're Southpaws, so I didn't bother. And when I saw the Linares fight, and I know that's some time back now, but I know with Haney, I notice is that when he throws the right hand, he loves to follow it up with the left hook. Right, that's one of his combos. So he'll do the jab, throw the right cross, and they'll come up with the left hook. And sometimes when he comes up with the left hook, that right hand is not fully protecting. You know, sometimes it's a little too far back, and his chin is available. And I think that is what could be a problem for him in this fight if they do trade hooks and he doesn't have that right glove protecting his chin, especially against Ryan, because Ryan is looking to counter off the right cross. You know what I mean? He's looking to counter with the left hook from that. So Devin Haney has to be careful when exchanging hooks. I did see Linares land a good amount of them in the fight. Obviously, in that fight, the short right hand is Linares' strongest punch. And that's the punch that caught Devin later in the fight that hurt him. Have him, you know, barely being able to walk to his corner. But I think that's the money punch for Ryan Garcia. Excuse me. I just had this tea And it's got me burping all crazy, so I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I think if Ryan can actually work behind his jab and just be a little bit patient, try to set up the shots, not get too anxious. Yeah, at periods of the fight, try to ambush Haney. But his best way of winning is by being patient in boxing. And even though I think Haney is better in that area, Ryan would have a better chance of winning instead of just fighting like a wild man, trying to go for the knockout early. All right. Because I do think even though Haney is not as big of a puncher as Tank, he can still crack, and he could probably crack harder now that he's at 140. We saw that in a pro grade fight. All right. When it comes to Devin Haney, he's always been a disciplined guy. So it's not going to be about antics outside of the ring. It's not going to be about him not training for a fight or anything like that. He's been one of the most disciplined guys in the sport, and I think that's part of the reason why he's here where he's at right now, and this is a fight that he wanted a long time. He's gone in the ring and he's called out Ryan at the zone and the zone matchroom, or not matchroom, but Golden Boy events. He's gone in there and done it before. He's been wanting this fight. They have history. They fought 6 times as amateurs. They know each other well. They was tied 3-3. I believe what they said that Ryan was fighting earlier, so like he won their first fights or maybe something like that. But long story short, I'm not really concerned about Haney and his discipline. I think mentally he's gonna go in there right. And at first I was hoping that Devin Haney didn't take Ryan seriously because of all of the antics. But I think Devin has said enough in the pressers and even in the interviews that he's aware he's still training for this fight as if he would for any other big fight. And that he's aware that he doesn't believe that Ryan is as crazy as he's acting. So that's a good sign for him. Another thing is, there is a talent gap between the two. And I think there's an experience gap between the two as well. I think Devin Haney hasn't fought someone that's exactly like Ryan, but he's fought guys that can prepare for him to fight guys on this level. You have those fights against Loma, Cambosos, Jojo Diaz, and Jorge Linares. Linares is a guy that defended his title like 13 times, as a lightweight, with power, speed, Regis Prograde, switching, going to southpaws, fighting, orthodox fighters and with different styles and higher level champion guys. Championship. That's the key thing. Championships, like guys that were champs, legit, credible fighters. This is one of his biggest advantages, the experience. You guys came in together. You guys are the same age, but one of the fighters clearly was on a way better path in his career. Devin, Teofimo as well. Even with his ups and downs, he consistently fought top tier fighters. I can't say the same for Ryan. I think he fought one fighter that was a true test in Luke Campbell. And Devin has fought guys on that level and better for years now. For years. You know what I mean? So the experience is there. Mentally he's stronger. You know what I mean? He's on point. He's more disciplined. He's on point. And he has those advantages, and I think he has the technical advantages in the ring. I think he has more weapons. I think when it comes to Ryan, he doesn't have much of a punch selection. He has a good jab, he has a good right hand, and he has a good left hook. You know, whereas in Devin, his combinations, his jab is elite. His combinations is on point. You don't know what he's doing. He switches it up all the time. You don't know what he's going to lead with. He might beat you to the body. He knows how to control distance. He knows how to smother you on the inside. He knows how to take your offense away from you. He can be aggressive, or he can just be patient and use the ring and keep you on the end of his jab. He could do it all. He could do it all. Some people say he's chinny. He doesn't have a good chin. Jorge Linares is the only fighter that rocked him. The only. And that's not the best fighter he fought. He's fought about 4 other guys that at the time were better. And he moved to 140 and beat one of the biggest punchers at 140 in Regis Prograis. So I'm not saying that Ryan can't hurt him. I just think the statement is saying that Devin is chinny or he doesn't have a chin. Nah. People talk as if he's like Amir Khan or something. Like, Devin can take a punch. He took many from Lomachenko. He took many from Lomachenko. He's fought punchers. Linares is a puncher. So, I think Ryan can hurt, but Ryan hasn't shown to me yet that he can stop a top fighter. This might be it, but he hasn't proven it yet that he can do that. I think Devin is going to be too much. I know Devin is looking drained and stuff, but I think he'll be fine by tomorrow. I think Devin, whatever way he decides to beat him, I think he's just going to be too much. I think he's too smart. His IQ is a little too high. He's too defensively responsible. Yes, he leaves himself open at times, but he doesn't do it consistently. Like, he's smart defensively. I can't say the same for Ryan. Ryan is still trying to figure things out. I heard an interview where Devin basically said Ryan's a phenomenal fighter, but he hasn't improved that much since the amateurs, and I believe him. I don't think he's improved that much as a pro. Is there anything in his last performance against Oscar Duarte that indicated that he's improved? Or in the Tank fight, he has not shown me anything that he's improved. I gave him a lot of credit in the Luke Campbell fight because he got dropped and he was able to come back and still win and stop in Luke. And I respect that. But since that fight, I have not seen anything that made me say he's top tier. Especially against Devin Haney. I expect the punch resistance to be higher for Ryan. Because he's bigger and he doesn't have to worry about draining himself, like I said earlier in this video. So I'm unsure if Devin can get the actual stoppage. But I think if Devin were to go to the body as much as he did against Loma, which is dangerous because Ryan's a little different. But I think if he committed to the body, I think he could. I think if he takes the gas out of Ryan, I think he could. And Tank stopped Ryan by going to the body. I think Devin also wants it more. As much as he's trying to be popular and generating pay-per-views and stuff, I think the first option is to win, always win him. You know, and I think Ryan coming off of a loss, which was 2 fights ago now, but you know, Ryan knows how to lose. You know, certain fighters say, you know, how certain people say like he's lost before. He knows how to lose. You know, I think Ryan, sometimes listening to him at the pressers, he has this I don't care kind of attitude, you know, whereas in Devin Haney, Devin is already, he's looking past Ryan. He's looking toward Tank, you know, or maybe some welterweights or something. He's looking past him. He's looking towards other big names. Whereas Ryan is, I guess, just looking to be a star or catapult himself to other stars, you know, even calling out MMA fighters and stuff like that. You know, that's what it means that's what I see when I see Ryan. He's a true boxer, but he's like Jake Paul in him. You know? So anyway, I think Devin Haney is going to use his tools and thoroughly outbox him for 12 rounds. I could see the stoppage. Ryan definitely has a puncher's chance in winning the fight, but I think Devin, again, he's been in there with punchers. He's been in there with good boxers. I think Devin just has too much. Too many different ways to win. And this is why I'm going with him still, even after the weigh-in results. So I have Devin winning the fight. I'm leaning more towards points. But I think the stoppage is definitely there for Devin as well. And for Ryan, the only option is to win by knockout. You know, if you can clip Devin with the perfect left hook, you never know. But I have Devin winning this fight. All right, so I'll be here. I'll be here for the fight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please share the video, like the video, hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all have a good day. Peace.